WNBA game. A hush fell over the crowd, but only for a second, because Sophie Cunningham isn't one to take disrespect lying down. She shot up like a firework, stormed over to Kiki, and let loose a line so heated the broadcast team probably scrambled to
What
instead,
happens when
now
a
it's circled in
seemingly
red ink
ordinary
on every fan's
preseason
calendar.
game erupts into
The
a
next
near
time the
brawl,
Fever and Mystics
igniting
square
a
off,
firestorm
it's no
that
longer about
captivates the
preseason
entire
reps.
league.
Hype woman rolled into
When a
one.
rookie's reckless shove
She's
meets a
seen every
veteran's
trick in the
unyielding
book
fury,
and knows exactly.
the
Even from
sparks
the
are
bench,
bound to
Caitlin
fly.
Clark was still
But no one
orchestrating
could
with her
have
voice,
predicted the legendary
cheering,
ice-cold
encouraging,
response that would
staying
follow,
in it like the captain
turning
she
a moment
is.
of on-court chaos
But it was
into a
Sophie
masterclass
who carried
in
the torch on the
psychological
court.
warfare.
She
This
didn't
is the
just fill
story
the
of how
gap.
one shove
She
didn't just make
reshaped the whole
headlines.
energy in the
It
building.
might have redefined a
Her physical
rivalry
presence and
a
attitude
team.
Dewana Bonner and Lexi Hull charged in, ready to back their girl. But as spicy as the court got, it was what happened later that sent the basketball world into a frenzy.
Man, I'm looking forward to when is the first game? May the 29th or May the 28th. I am looking forward to that. But Sophie Cunningham responded right here with an Instagram story about it, and these two teams do not like each other. They do not like each other.
It all
Space for
ignited
everyone
in a
else to
flash.
breathe,
The
play,
kind of
and believe.
preseason moment that usually
Bonner
fades into
aren't just bringing
obscurity,
scoring and
but instead
rebounding.
blew up into
They're
a
bringing an
full-blown
attitude,
controversy.
a toughness that's spreading through the
Mystics
entire
rookie
roster.
Kiki Aerafin didn't just
Tyrant.
bump Indiana Fever
Sophie's
veteran
the
Sophie
example
Cunningham.
of how to rise above the
She
mess
sent her
without losing
sprawling
your
to
fire.
the hardwood
Sophie's
with a
message
shove
hit
that
the
looked
sweet
more
spot.
suited for a wrestling
It
ring
was
than
witty,
a WNBA
sharp, and
preseason
completely
warm-up.
stripped the incident
The
of
entire
any heat
gym
Kiki
held
thought she
its breath.
generated. Remember how
Sophie,
shaky that
a
first quarter
seasoned
looked?
baller with a spine of
Fever
steel
were
and a
down
reputation
24 to
for not
13,
backing down,
and it was looking
wasn't
like
about
one of
to
those
let that
nights where
blatant
nothing clicks.
disrespect slide.
Every made
She
basket,
shot up like a
and
firework,
especially when Fever
stormed over to
players stood up
Kiki,
for each
and
other after
unleashed
those
a verbal
cheap
volley
shots.
so heated,
What makes
the
Sophie
broadcast
even
team
more
likely
essential
scrambled
is
for
the way
bleep
she
button,
becomes a buffer
reportedly
between
telling
chaos and
Aerafin,
calm.
"You don't bleep
Sophie
and do
came
that."
out with a clapback
The
so
shockwave
clever,
was
it
palpable,
felt like a mic
but the
drop from
rookie's
orbit.
reaction to
That's
this
right.
fiery confrontation,
While most of us
that's
were
where
struggling
things
to
took an
tie our
even more
shoes,
telling and
Sophie
frankly
was all ready
arrogant
for
turn.
it. But let's rewind for a second and look at how the whole thing popped off.
And I know it wasn't announced that Caitlin Clark wouldn't play until right before, but this is a preseason game where Clark is not available, and yet you probably...
That right. A rookie actually body slammed a veteran to the hardwood like she was auditioning for a football team instead of playing in a basketball game. And not just any vet. Sophie freaking Cunningham, a seasoned baller with a black belt in Don't Play With Me.
Instead of remorse or even a hint of my bad, Kiki Aerafin offered a smirk. Not just any smirk, but a chilling, almost villainous grin that seemed to say she knew exactly what she was doing and relished the chaos she'd created. It was the kind of expression that instantly paints you as the antagonist in any story. And if anyone thought this was an isolated incident, the Mystics weren't done. Later in the game, teammate Britney Sykes delivered another questionable, unnecessary shove, sending Cunningham crashing to the floor again. It was no longer just a rough play. It was starting to look like a pattern, a clear targeting of Cunningham. Were the Mystics trying to send a message to intimidate a key player on a rising Fever team? They certainly threw down a gauntlet, but they had absolutely no idea who they were truly dealing with, or how Sophie Cunningham was about to flip the entire script without throwing another punch.
Slam was blatant, unnecessary, and just flat-out disrespectful. It wasn't defense. It wasn't a hard screen. It wasn't even a foul with strategic intent. It was a statement, one that said, "I want attention," and Sophie answered it with, "Be careful what you wish for." Are you ready to hear how Sophie broke her silence? If you support Sophie and the entire...
What are we doing? Right there, you can see Sophie telling her after that flagrant, "You don't mother effing do that. You don't mother effing do that."
Sophie's response was immediate and righteous. She sprang up and got in Kiki's face like she was protecting the WNBA's honor. "You don't bleeping do that," she barked, basically summing up every veteran sentiment watching from home. That's not just adrenaline, that's earned dignity talking. You don't knock down vets like that unless you're trying to become public enemy number one. And to make it worse, Kiki smiled. Not the kind of, "oops, my bad" smile. This was a smirk. The villain art trick
The
atmosphere.
on-court drama was intense,
The crowd erupted with
sparking
every defensive
outrage
stop.
and debate across
Calm,
social media.
cutting humor
But Sophie
that said,
Cunningham was about
"I
to
see
serve
you.
her revenge
I'm not scared of
cold,
you.
online,
and I'll remember this
and
forever.
with a level of savagery that
It was the veteran version
iconic.
of a mic drop.
She
only
hit
better.
Instagram,
Already
not with a
training in the
lengthy
art of
rant or
precision
a call
singing
for
her
league
praises
action,
post-game.
but with a single
Not just for the box
devastatingly
score,
witty
but for the
story.
poise and
Over a
leadership she
clip of
brought
the
when the
incident
game
she
could have
posted.
spun. Britney Sykes
I'm just
delivered
a girl
another
and I only play
unnecessary
WWE
shove.
with my
Kiki
sister.
Aerafin,
So chill.
the Mystics fresh out of
Mic
college
drop.
rookie,
The
apparently
brilliance of
figured a
this clapback
preseason
was
game was the right
multifaceted.
time to make
It was
her
dismissive,
WWE debut.
hilariously
Let's the
downplaying
heat off
Aerafin's
Caitlin Clark
aggression.
and let the Mystics
It was
waste their
witty,
energy on her
recasting
instead.
Kiki not as a tough instigator,
Don't watch The Rookie.
but as someone
Watch
not
me.
even on
Strikes
her
and
radar
controlled
for a real
strength.
confrontation.
So
And it
Kiki
was
didn't just
utterly
pick a fight.
savage,
She picked a fight with a
effectively
marsh.
ending the
What?
online beef
With the
before
next
it even
Fever
began
versus
by
Mystics
refusing
game
to
looming.
validate
The
Kiki's
pressure's
actions
on.
with anger.
But Sophie's made it clear.
The internet erupted.
Last season, this was a
anointing
squad
it
that
one of the
opponents could
coldest
push around.
takedowns in recent sports
Teams would get
memory.
physical,
But this calm,
and the best part,
collected, and cutting
it earned
response hit a
respect
much
across
deeper,
the board.
more
They had just
disciplined
witnessed the
power.
birth of a team that won't be
secret
bullied
weapon
anymore.
Sophie had been
A team that
honing
turned
since
their own
childhood.
grin of someone who thinks instigating earns stripes. Spoiler alert, it doesn't.
And that's Kiki Aerafin, and I got to tell you, here we go with the smiling like you've done. I don't get it. This is the worst part of the WNBA. It is. A ton of reaction. The smiles afterward, let's get negative.
Sending Cunningham crashing to the floor again. It wasn't subtle. It wasn't basketball. It was bullying, plain and simple. A clear pattern emerging of Washington players singling out Cunningham.
This was another one right here. This was Britney Sykes, and DeWanna Bonner got involved in this one. She did. Little standing on business.
Most fans see Sophie
praised her
Cunningham
poise.
as a tough,
Players nodded in
competitive basketball
solidarity,
player.
and the Fever's
What they
locker
probably
room,
didn't know is that her
they
toughness
rallied
isn't
around their
just an
teammate
attitude.
like never before,
It's a highly
suiting up
trained
like it's
skill.
Game 7 of the finals.
Sophie earned a black belt in
The only
taekwondo
question
at the
left is,
astonishing age
when
of
the next
6.
shove comes,
Let that
who's
sink
going to be
in.
left standing? The defense
While
looked
other
tired,
kids were learning to
the
tie
offense
their
was
shoes,
flat,
she was
and with
mastering
Caitlin
an
out-nursing
ancient
a
martial
minor
art
injury,
built on precision,
Indiana needed
discipline,
someone,
and controlled
anyone,
power.
to step up.
This revelation cast the
Artist
entire
in
on-court
sneakers.
incident
The most
in a
telling
new
moment
light.
came after the
The
game.
rookie who tried to physically
Washington
intimidate
Mystics players,
Cunningham wasn't
the
just
same
picking on a
ones who
basketball
delivered body
player.
slams and
She
shoves
was,
throughout the night,
unknowingly,
refused to
messing
shake
with
hands.
a martial artist.
They walked straight to the
Sophie's
locker
choice
room.
to respond with words on
Why?
the court and
Because
later
they
with
had
that
just
icy
watched their own
Instagram
tactics
post
get turned
wasn't
against them
weakness
by
or
a
an
team they
inability
thought
to
they could bully.
escalate. It was a
How to defuse
demonstration
the
of
intimidation
incredible
tactics.
restraint.
Opponents
She
love to
chose
throw at
composure,
breakout stars
knowing
like
she
Caitlin.
possessed a physical
It's why Coach
capability
Stephanie
far
White
beyond what
couldn't
was
stop.
necessary
And let's be
for a
real,
basketball
the
game.
Mystics have a bit of a
And
habit
this
at this
inner
point.
steel, this
Last season, they made it their
disciplined
personal
core
mission
didn't
to
just
play
win the
bumper cars
internet.
with Caitlin,
It
and the
fueled
Fever
an
would often
on-court
back down.
demolition that spoke
Not
louder
anymore.
than any
Physical
shove.
tactics again. Then came the cavalry. DeWanna Bonner wasted no time stepping up, heading right toward Britney Sykes to make sure the Mystics knew this wasn't going unanswered. It was like a team alarm went off. One of theirs had been hit, and now it was all hands on deck. That's what true teams do. You mess with one Fever player, you deal with the whole hive.
And all I will say as well is it's going to be a fun couple of games. The Fever, when is the first time they play the Mystics? This is what you want to see. You want to see hype
Against them. So defend Mitchell, Boston, Hull, and Cunningham. They all showed the new identity taking shape right before our eyes. The Indiana Fever aren't the same team that opponents pushed around last season. They're tougher, more resilient, and they've got each other's backs when things get rough. Teams with a phenom like Caitlin Clark need someone who can absorb the noise, fight the battles, and lead by example. In a league that thrives on storylines, this one's so you never miss out. Click the video on the screen, and we will see you in the next one. It's personal. And Sophie Cunningham just proved she's not only even as coach Stephanie White tried to smooth things over in the post-game presser. Sophie's face told the full story. Rewatch the footage, and it's clear. This wasn't even close to a basketball move. Kiki didn't box her out under the rim. She grabbed her and slammed her to the floor. Period. A play with zero basketball relevance that screamed one thing: I want a headline. And oh, she got one. Just not the kind she wanted.
It's going to lead to a heated rivalry game. It's going to be leading to that on the 28th of May. We are still in the month of May. We get to watch these two teams go at it again. And I stand by this. This was absolutely not. This is not going to be the first time or the last time Sophie Cunningham is going to get into some sort of a brawl next season.
As expected, social media lit up like Times Square. Fans weren't having it. Everyone from casual viewers to hardcore WNBA lifers blasted the Mystics for bringing street fight energy to a sport built on finesse, precision, and mutual respect. The general consensus? That wasn't a power move. That was a cheap shot.
If Kiki Aerafin and the Mystics thought their physical tactics would rattle Sophie Cunningham, they were catastrophically mistaken.
I see you.
After the shoves and the online mic
and
drop,
I'll remember this forever.
Sophie stepped onto the court and led her game
to the
screaming.
It was the veteran version of a mic drop.
She didn't just play well. She unleashed a calculated offensive onslaught, torching the Mystics for 21 points on an efficient 6 of 11 shooting,
when the game
grabbing
could have
8
Britney Sykes delivered another unnecessary shove.
It was a
Kiki
dominant
Aerafin,
performance.
the Mystics'
A
fresh out
clear
of college
message
rookie,
that any attempt
apparently
to throw
figured
her
a
off her
preseason
game
was the right
backfired
time to make her
spectacularly.
WWE debut.
She turned their aggression
This
into
to heat
her
off
fuel,
Caitlin Clark and let the
methodically
Mystics waste their
dismantling them
energy
with
on
skill
her
and
instead.
precision. This wasn't
Don't watch
just
the
a player
rookie.
having a good
Watch
night.
me.
It was a veteran
strength.
making a powerful statement.
So Kiki didn't
You can
just
try
pick
to
a
bully
fight.
me, but I will
She
bury
picked a
you on
fight
the
with a marsh.
scoreboard.
What?
This
With the
stellar
next Fever
performance,
versus
however,
Mystics
might have
game
served an
looming,
even
the
deeper,
pressure's on.
more strategic
But Sophie's
purpose,
made it clear.
particularly
Last
concerning
season,
a certain
this was a
highly
squad that
touted
opponents
rookie
could push
teammate
around.
who has faced her own
Teams
share
would get
of physical
physical,
targeting. A compelling
best
theory
part,
began to bubble up
It
in the
earned respect
aftermath.
across the board. They
Was
had just
Sophie
witnessed the
Cunningham
birth of a team
intentionally
that won't be
drawing the
bullied
ire of
anymore.
opponents,
A team that turned their own
positioning herself as a lightning rod
Fans
to shield her
praised her
superstar
poise.
rookie
Players
teammate,
nodded in
Caitlin
solidarity,
Clark.
and the
It's no
Fever's locker
secret
room.
that Clark, since her
They rallied
college
around their
days and now
teammate
in
like
the
never before,
WNBA,
suiting up like
has
it's
been
Game 7 of
subjected
the
to
finals.
hyper-physical play,
The only
subtle
question
digs,
left is,
and
when the
overt
next shove
aggression
comes,
from teams
who's going to be
looking
left standing?
disrupt her game.
The defense looked
The
tired,
Mystics
the
themselves
offense
had
was
a
flat,
history of physical
and with
play
Caitlin out
against
nursing
Clark
a
in
minor
previous
injury,
encounter.
Indiana needed
In
someone,
this context,
anyone,
Sophie's
to step
willingness
up.
to absorb the aggression,
Artist in
to be the
sneakers.
one
The
taking
most
the hits
telling
and
moment
dishing
came
back
after
the
the game.
psychological warfare,
Washington
could be
Mystics
seen as a
players,
veteran
the
enforcer
same ones who
stepping
delivered
up.
body
She's
slams and
essentially
shoves
telling
throughout the
the
night,
league, if you want to
refused
play
to shake
dirty,
hands.
try it with me.
They
Leave
walked
the kid
straight
alone.
to the locker room.
It's a classic
Why?
leader move,
Because
taking
they
the
had
heat
just
so
watched
the
their
team's
own
most
tactics
valuable
get turned
asset
against
can
them
thrive.
by a team they
This
thought they
wasn't
could
just
bully.
about one player's
How to
resilience.
defuse the
It
intimidation
signaled a
tactics
seismic
opponents
shift,
love
a
to throw at breakout
transformation in the
stars like
entire
Caitlin.
Indiana Fever's DNA.
It's why Coach Stephanie
The Indiana
White
Fever
couldn't
team
stop,
that
and
took
let's
the
be
court
real,
that night
the Mystics
was
have
not
a bit
the
of a
same
habit at
squad
this point.
opponents might have pushed
Last season,
around
they
in
made it their
previous
personal
seasons.
mission to play
There was a
bumper
new
cars with
toughness,
Caitlin, and the
a
Fever would
palpable
often
unity.
back down.
When
Not
Cunningham was
anymore. Physical
targeted,
tactics against
teammates
them.
like Dana Bonner and Lexi
Sophie
Hull
Mitchell,
were immediately
Boston,
in the
Hull,
fray,
and Cunningham.
backing her
They
up,
all showed the new
showing
identity
that an
taking
attack
shape
on
right
one
before our
Fever
eyes.
player
The
was an
Indiana
attack
Fever
on the
aren't the
whole
same
hive.
team that opponents
This
pushed around last
transformation was
season.
so
They're
evident
tougher,
that it
more
apparently
resilient,
rattled their opponents.
and they've got each other's backs when
In a
things
move
get
that
rough.
spoke volumes,
Teams with a
the
phenom like
Washington
Caitlin
Mystics
Clark
players
need someone who
reportedly
can absorb the
refused to
noise,
shake hands
fight
with
the
the Fever
battles,
after the
and
game,
lead by example.
heading straight to their locker room.
In a
Was
league
it
that
bitterness,
thrives on storylines,
or
this
was it
one's
the
a so you
dawning
never miss out.
realization that they
Click
had
the video
poked
on
a
the
sleeping
screen,
bear,
and we will
that
see
their
you in the next one.
intimidation tactics
It's
had
personal.
not only failed,
And Sophie
but had
Cunningham
actually
just proved
unified
she's
and
not only
hardened
even
their
as
rivals.
Coach Stephanie White tried to
Fever
smooth
coach
things over in
Stephanie
the
White
post-game
couldn't
presser.
stop praising
Sophie's
Sophie's
face told
toughness
the
and
full
leadership,
story. Already winning,
not just
officially
for her
locked in.
scoring, but for the
next Fever versus
unquantifiable
Mystics
energy
game?
and resilience she brought.
Yeah, go ahead and
An
circle that
attitude
on
that
your
was
calendar
clearly
now,
becoming
because this
infectious.
isn't just a rivalry
What started
anymore.
as a dirty
Clark.
play by a rookie
Subtle
has
elbows,
now undeniably
suspicious
set the
shoves,
stage for an
you name it.
unmissable high-stakes
They've been
showdown.
circling the Fever like
The next
vultures.
time the Indiana Fever
But
and the
now the
Washington
Mystics tried to use
meet,
physical
mark your
intimidation as a
calendars
strategy,
for May 28th.
and it completely
It
backfired.
won't just be another game on the schedule.
Instead of breaking the
it's now
Fever's spirit,
personal.
they unified
It's a
them.
rivalry supercharged with
Instead of
bad
establishing
blood,
dominance,
viral
they awakened a
clapbacks,
sleeping
and the
giant.
narrative of a veteran
That's why
who
they couldn't
refused to
face
be
the Fever
bullied
in the handshake
and
line.
instead flipped the script on
If
her
you support
aggressors.
Sophie and the entire
Sophie
Fever
Cunningham
team,
didn't just
comment
respond to
fired
an
up for the
incident.
Fever down
She
below.
crafted a storyline,
Like, subscribe,
ignited a fierce
and turn
new
on
chapter
all
in this
notifications.
matchup,
This was a
and in
total
doing
team
so,
transformation.
may have fundamentally
Lexi Hull
altered her
snatched
team's
4
destiny
steals,
and
diving for
hardened
loose
their
balls
resolve.
and disrupting passing
She turned
lanes.
a moment of disrespect
Heard
into
over
a display of
12,000
strength,
fans
wit,
packed the arena
and hidden power.
created an electric.
The only
Instead,
question remaining,
now it's circled
as
in
the
red
league
ink on
buzzes
every
with
fan's
anticipation
calendar.
for their rematch,
The next time the
is who will
Fever and
truly
Mystics
have the
square
last
off,
laugh
it's
when
no
the
longer
dust
about
inevitably
preseason reps.
settles on the
Hype
court.
woman rolled into one.
One thing is for
She's
sure,
seen every trick in the
everyone
book
will be watching.
and knows exactly